Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, thank you so much for stopping by. So as you guys can see from the title of the video, we are going to be discussing Black women on reality TV shows and how they are perceived, stereotypes that a lot of people feel about them, and how they are portrayed on our TV screens. Here to check out the rest of the content, and if you like what you see, subscribe. If you are not new to the channel and you usually always watch my videos, please give me a thumbs up, guys. Like, it helps me out a lot. Stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing. Like, whatever you're doing right now, stop it. Give me a thumbs up. Also, if you have been watching me for a while but are not subscribed, what's going on? Like, you keep coming back, you keep watching me, you like something. I mean, shit, you might even hate me, but you know, go ahead and subscribe because something keeps bringing you back over here. So you might as well, you know, subscribe. We are going to get straight into the video. It's actually funny how my brain works. All jokes aside, it's very funny how my brain works because I was going to make a video like this literally right after the Love Island season 7 USA show happened, because a lot of people wanted to know my thoughts of like how Black women were being perceived on the show and stuff like that. If you are new to my channel, then you guys probably wouldn't notice, but if you are not new to my channel, then you guys know that I literally spent the whole season actually reviewing the show and critiquing everybody as a whole, not specifically like talking about the aspects of what it's like to be a Black woman and go on a show called Love Island. It's played a huge factor in a lot of these decisions that these islanders made, and a lot of decisions that the viewers made and stuff like that. But I really wanted the show to be about the show at the moment and like what was actually happening inside the villa, because I wanted to make a whole separate video for this, right? So it's actually crazy how my mind works, because I was going to get ready to make a video literally right after the Keke Palmer interview with Shelly and Olandria, but something told me to wait. I'm so happy that I waited because y'all, so much has happened this week in the Love Island franchise that I was like, oh my god, this adds into the video that I was going to make just regarding not really so much just Shelly and Olandria. Shelly and Olandria were going to be like the main focal points of the video, and then I was going to expand my thoughts like the previous seasons of Love Island, all the way back to the UK seasons, the seasons where UK will only put a token Black girl on there and will put a whole bunch of men who were not attracted to that Black girl, and be able to see men just use that Black girl to stay into the house until somebody better came along, and then that Black girl got sent home. And we see this time and time again with the Love Island season. If we don't see that, we see the Black girl that is pretty, that all the guys want. They give her an edit and make her look like an angry Black woman. Or we see the Black girl that comes on the show and gives us absolutely nothing. She gets called boring, and people on the show start picking on her, and the viewers start picking on her as well, calling her boring, saying that she gives nothing, she gives no personality or anything like that. Can't a Black woman on Love Island or any space that is built to spotlight desirability can literally feel like stepping into a dream made for someone else. The villa glows with sunlight, the pool shimmers, the cameras capture every single cinematic moment. Her beauty feels distant. She feels like she's watching herself in a story where she only ever views the cast in the background. Her skin glistens, hair sculpted, beautiful luscious lips, beautiful cheekbones, nice banging body. 9 times out of 10, that Black girl's body is natural. 9 times out of 10, yes, Black girls do get work done, but they have assets on their face already and on their body already that every woman would want. She laughs, she flirts, she's open to getting to know everybody. She's open to getting to know guys that are not even specifically her type. She's open to dating outside of her race. Something happens. When it's time for the recoupling, silence even gets louder. Boys' eyes literally slide past her. She becomes invisible. Stands there poised, still having a nice smile on her face because the show has just started. She's not trying to show too much emotion. Doesn't want to get that type of stereotype of being the angry Black bitter woman that didn't get picked. They're calling each other names. They're confirming who they want. He ends up not being nobody's type. The game of instant chemistry, the deck is stacked against her. Only time she gets picked is when one of the Islander guys are at risk of going home. It's shallow, but they are just calling it reality TV. She's either too strong looking, too intimidated, too outspoken, or even worse, too boring. Not her afterthought, none of their types. She dares not to express her hurt or her deepest, darkest fears of coming onto the show and not being picked, because she will be labeled as aggressive. When she holds her head high and she keeps it pushing, everybody sees it as resilient. When she takes a step back and she analyzes the situation for what it is and she calls it out, people call her aggressive. Being a black woman on Love Island is like being hyper visible and unseen at the same time. Smile with grace when the world around you refuses to see how soft, joyful, and how full of humanity you are. Still stays not just for love, but for the statement her presence makes. The little black girls who are watching her at home, who might finally be able to feel seen by someone who looks just like them. And for this woman to be able to stand tall in a space that is meant to push her down. This is called power, and this is also called what it's like being a black woman on reality television. I want to talk about Love Island because honestly speaking, I feel like Love Island is like one of the most popular dating love shows out right now, and has been so popular for years, all the way dating back to the UK season. And I feel like the UK seasons have made it very obvious that they do not want change when it comes to how they portray black women on Love Island, and we are going to dissect everything and talk about everything in today's video. If you date back to the very beginning of Love Island, there were times where they will only literally have one token black girl there. The rest of the girls will either be Hispanic or white, Asian. None of them will be black. It will just be one black girl. Then they will bring all the men in the house, and they will have probably like 2 black boys, and then the rest of the boys will be different races. Incidentally, the 2 black boys did not like black girls. Like, black girls weren't their type, and nothing is wrong with that. I personally feel like if you're going to put one black girl in the house that you know for a given fact that none of these boys will look at and say, oh, I will date her, I will talk to her, you're already setting her up for failure. Already setting her up to not be able to even get a chance to either A, find love, or B, win the show. The producers have made it known throughout the years that they do not want black couples to win the show. Let's date back to season 10 of Love Island UK. Jess and Sammy ended up winning the show, and literally right after Jess and Sammy won the show, they broke up 2 months afterwards. It was diabolical for the producers. And I know somebody might say, oh, well, you know, like the fans got to vote. But at the same time, it's not just the producers, it's the viewers as well. These shows like Love Island gets to show how racist a lot of viewers are, and how racist and how backwards we are as a whole, through the viewers, through the producers, through the people going on the show, to basically open up a room for discussion to talk about the racial elements that goes on in dating and also goes on in everyday life. When Jess and Sammy won, I was confused, and I know they are now, I think Jess was white, but I don't think Sammy was white. It still doesn't matter, because I cannot believe that Jess and Sammy won, and they were, out of all the couples, they were the very least to stay. Oh, Catherine and Scott got sent home before the finals, but Catherine and Scott even went back to go date each other again. Tyreek and Ella dated each other for a while before they broke up. People say 6 months, but you guys remember Tyreek and Ella were on and off for about a good 2 years before they actually really called it quits. Whitney and Lochan dated for 2 years. They literally just broke up the other day, but somehow, some way, Jess and Sammy won. Producers do a very good job of highlighting toxic couples and putting the black couples that are toxic in our face 24/7 to show that these couples are not compatible and they will not last on the outside villa. And then even when they highlight the dramas of the other couples that are not black, it's not seen as that's cinematic. And even when these couples are toxic, because I'm not gonna sit here and lie, the producers definitely showed how toxic Sammy and Jess were, but they also showed Sammy being nice to her, Sammy apologizing, like Sammy trying to take steps to do better. Meanwhile, when it came to Tyreek and Ella, it's like they literally showed them being toxic all the time, and it made for great television. But when it got down to the nitties and gritties of who needed to win and who didn't get to win, they didn't get to win. And I'm not saying that Tyreek and Ella should have won, but at the very least, I don't understand why Whitney and Lochan didn't win, like, all jokes aside. And I know that, you know, with all the stuff that's going on right now, somebody might not be able to understand it, but if you were in that moment, in that time, without knowing any information that you know about Whitney and Lochan now, you would think to yourself that it will only be right for Whitney and Lochan to win. But why didn't Whitney and Lochan win? So if you guys remember on that season 10 when Whitney came in, nobody really disliked her for real. People didn't really dislike her. I remember people used to say that Whitney talks out of hand at times, and Whitney can sometimes come off as very snobbish. Nobody really had like a real apparent issue with Whitney. And I don't know if you guys remember, Whitney was cool with Ella, and she was also cool with Catherine at the time. And throughout the season, they ended up doing a challenge, and I think Tyreek and Ella had to choose the muggiest couple or something, and they ended up choosing Whitney, and Whitney took offense to that because Whitney came off like, as my friend, why would you choose me? Even if you do feel like me and Lochan are the muggiest couple, why would you choose me as my friend, one of my best friends in the villa? You could have chose anybody else. Instead of having a discussion with each other, and Whitney takes that moment to discuss to Ella about how she thinks that Ella is selfish and that Ella takes forever to shower in the restroom, and because Ella always calls first dibs in the restroom, she takes so long for them to shower. Whitney and them, they're not able to get ready on time because they have to all be out at a certain time. That argument ends up escalating to the point where their friendship is no longer there. The producers, of course, make them go sit down for a dinner or a lunch to talk about the situation, but you could tell it was clear as day that they just agreed to disagree, because even when they went to go sit down together, they were not really agreeing. It's like they were both standing on their tents. And the funny thing is, throughout the season, when I watched them develop their friendship, I knew it wasn't going to last, because what a lot of people don't understand is that Whitney acts like a typical Nigerian babe, and so does Ella. Ella just does a better job of hiding it. That's the only difference. And these girls have very strong main character personalities, and when two people are main characters in the friendship, sometimes their friendships might not be able to prevail and like excel and stuff like that, especially if they are very strong-headed. You look at someone like Catherine. Catherine is not so much of a main character. She's a very pretty girl. She's a gorgeous girl, but she's not a main character compared to Whitney. And I know some people, I'm not talking about in terms of looks. I'm talking about in terms of personality. Anybody that can be able to captivate a viewer through a screen to where they hate that actual islander or they hate that actual reality star is a main character. I.e., people like Huda, people like Whitney. People dislike Whitney a lot. She's a main character. Ella is a main character. People don't dislike Ella, but people love her for her beauty. They love her for her poise. They love her for her accent and her little phrases that she said throughout the show that made the show what the show was, right? So those two girls are main characters, and it's gonna be very hard for them to maintain friendship if they don't establish clear boundaries. They came to a head with each other. The show was over. Whitney went and started talking about what really happened and their fallout and stuff. And honestly speaking, guys, I didn't take nobody's side. I thought both of them made good points. I felt like what Ella said. Why are you waiting till now to call me out? If you feel like I've been wasting all this time in this restroom this whole season, don't wait till Mad Day to call me out. And I stand on that. I don't like when people do that. I also stood on what Whitney said as well. Tyreek said that Ella was selfish, so I don't understand why people were getting all up in arms way when Whitney repeated the same shit that her man said. Why didn't nobody have that energy for Tyreek when he called Ella selfish as well? Another thing, why is Ella taking so much time in one restroom that they all have to share when she knows that everyone has to be out at a certain time? I don't care what anyone says. I personally feel like colorism came into play when it came to picking and choosing who they were going to side with. The audience decided that they were going to side with. Whitney all of a sudden became the bitter friend. She all of a sudden became the angry black woman because she said she was asked in an interview about Ella, and she literally stated, I did not know that me and Ella had beef outside the show. When we were in the villa, it looked like we made up. It looked like we agreed to disagree, but as soon as the show was over, Ella did not talk to me. I did not talk to her. I saw her at a function. She was near my friends. She said hi to all of my friends. She did not say hi to me. Everybody got up in arms way like, oh, Whitney Whitney is bitter. Ella don't have to say hi to her. If Ella doesn't want to say hi to her, which is true. If Ella does not want to speak, she does not have to speak. But let's be real. What Whitney is saying, there's nothing wrong with what Whitney is saying. If you look at the show, it looks like they agreed to disagree and they were supposed to keep it pushing. Everyone got home. Ella made it known, I don't like you. The only reason why I agreed to disagree with you is 9 times out of 10 because the producers made them do so. Just for the sake of still staying in the villa together. You get what I mean? And nothing is wrong with Whitney expressing that. Whitney has every right to express her feelings, especially if she gets put on the podcast and it's asked about her friendship with Ella. And from then, I was looking at the viewer sideways, and I was like, you guys have an issue with black women, specifically dark-skinned black women, speaking and having a mind, saying what they want to say and talking how they want to talk. And I am all for calling out any race of women. I am not subjected to just calling out black women or white women or anything. I am very all for calling out any race of women, and you guys know me from watching my reviews of Love Island this season. If somebody is doing something that they have no business doing, or if they are talking inappropriately, I am going to call it out. But I honestly feel like some of the takes that Whitney had post villa and even inside the villa was not anything to really be called out for, but people made it their known job to make it look like Whitney was so bitter about the situation, when really, if you look at two sides of the stories, both of them were right about it, and nobody should have really been picking sides. So then we have Catherine. Catherine went to Casa Amor. Before Catherine went to Casa Amor, she was paired up with Scott. Scott was, I don't remember what Scott was, but he wasn't black. He was, I don't know if he was like Italian. I don't remember what Scott was. They were an interracial couple. Catherine ends up coming back from Casa Amor, and she comes back with someone. Scott does not come, he doesn't couple up with anyone. Decides to stay single because he really does like Catherine. I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that there was a lot of things that the producers did not show. I don't know if it's true or not, but they said something around the speculations that somebody told Catherine that Scott was planning on ditching her or trying to test their connection. So Catherine did the same thing, like kind of like a Uno reverse. Producers made Catherine look mad. For Catherine to act the way Catherine acted before Casa Amor, and for her to come back and act the way she acted after Casa Amor, was literally like night and day. The producers solely made Catherine look like she was mad. They made Catherine look like she was a bitch to Scott. They painted her in a weird manner, like she ran to Casa Amor and found somebody and came back and was like, look Scott, I found someone, I don't need you no more, da da da, this and that. The way they made Catherine look was diabolical, y'all, and I watched it form before my own eyes. I saw viewers turn on Catherine in a blink of an eye. People went from not having any opinion on Catherine to having all the opinions in the world. She was a bitch. She was not attractive to be acting the way she was acting. Her teeth, she looked ugly. Her hair, she needed to go home. It was dirty. I was hearing so many things about Catherine, and next thing you know, Catherine got sent home, and everyone was celebrating and everyone was happy that Catherine got sent home. Actually scary when you really think about it, that in just a blink of an eye, if the producers decide that they no longer want you on their screen, or you no longer serve purpose for them, they will give you a horrible edit. They will make you, you know, get disliked by the viewers and make you get sent home. For Catherine, it was clear as day that they gave her that, and I honestly believe anything that has to do with them saying that somebody put a bug in her ear that Scott was going to do something in Casa Amor, because Catherine came back running mad, and she was even shocked that Scott did not couple up, you know what I mean? This goes to show the different dynamics of how different black women get portrayed on the screen. Now we have Ella. Ella is the token black girl, let's be honest. Ella is the token black girl because Ella is very lighter and she has a lot of Eurocentric features. Ella has a lot of filler in her face. She's done a lot of different types of fillers in her face. Ella's a very pretty girl, and throughout the whole season, Ella gets portrayed as the black woman that goes back and forth with her other black couple throughout the whole entire season. Kind of like a baby boy type of edit. Yvette and Jody were going back and forth throughout the whole entire season. The only reason why people do not see that as a stereotype is because of Ella's skin color. I can guarantee you one thing. If Whitney was paired up with Tyreek and they were arguing and going back and forth like that throughout the whole season, people would have not been happy with that couple. Because Tyreek is fairly lighter too, and he is highly attractive, and so is Ella, people saw that as, wow, they are making this season what it is. They're a couple goals. They're funny. Tyreek is funny. Ella is funny. But y'all, a lot of people like to say that Tyreek was a menace on the show, and I'm not negating that, but there were times that Ella started mess. There were times where Ella did some selfish things, and I don't feel like Ella got called out for it. Like I said, a lot of colorism plays a role into these shows. Speaking of colorism, we are going to be talking about the black men who come onto the show, and you think for a second, okay, maybe he might be attracted to this other black woman, and he goes and does a complete Uno reverse and ends up being attracted to the Latina woman or to the white woman. Or the black man who comes on the show and is attracted to the black woman but is highly promiscuous and highly lustful. His eyes could turn in any single moment. Let's talk about that. So a lot of the times black women get the stereotype undesirable. not only on the show but off. A lot of black men have made it known to the world that black women are not desirable. A lot of black men have made videos in regards to black women being overweight, in regards to black women being ghetto and loud. A lot of black men have made videos in regards to becoming passport brothers, to go overseas and find different women because they do not want to date black women anymore, black American women, because they deem black American women as combative, as unhealthy, as loud, as ghetto, and don't want to be taught anything and do not want to be submissive. The world sees stuff like that, and the world sees a group of people putting down their own other race. See black men actually trying to retreat from their own black women. The world is going to follow suit as well. Black men are telling the world that we don't even want to date them because they are troublesome and they are this and they are that. Why would a white man want to date them? Why would a Hispanic man want to date them? That's what we see a lot of the times, and we see that a lot of the times in the reality TV shows. Don't say the quiet part out loud, but at the same time it shows in the picking and the choosings. I know somebody's about to get in the comments and say if they are attracted to a white woman, nothing is wrong with that, and you are 100% correct. Nothing is wrong with that. When they put that one black woman on the show and none of them want her, and then we come and we think that the black man is going to be her savior, and he ends up being even worse than the white man, and she ends up being with a white man, then years down the line we find out that that white man never liked black women and he's racist and he actually hates her guts, and now we are all up in arms way. It's a system for the black woman to fail. I.e., I don't know if you guys remember the season with Toby and Kat. There was a season with Toby and Kat, a UK season, and it was clear as day that Toby liked Kat. It was clear as day. But throughout the whole season, Toby made it his life mission to figure out how he was going to get away from Kat, to the point where they ended up not being coupled up.
I still got to know Chloe.
I didn't think I would have got where I am today without that happening.
So you needed to disrespect
no,
me?
No, I didn't look at it like that.
Me. No regrets about how he dealt with her.
Honey, what the?
He handled it like an absolute that situation.
And now they are still friends with each other, and you guys will see in the comment section, people will still be trying to pair them up as a couple. People will still be saying, why didn't y'all ever date, this and that, and him laughing. Honestly speaking, if I was Kat, I would not be hanging out with Toby, because Toby definitely has low self-esteem, because everybody knew that Toby liked Kat. The fact that Toby is still hanging out with Kat till this day lets everyone know that he still has some type of feelings for Kat, because of the fact that Toby has this preconceived notion of black women and stuff like that. He decides that he is not going to date her. All the women that Toby chose on the show, of lighter complexion, they were all of lighter complexion. It's like he was trying so hard to run away from his own roots. If you guys do not know who Ayo and Mimi were, they were on season 11 UK. Basically what happened was Ayo and Mimi came in together. They ended up pairing up together, but Ayo had lustful eyes. He was very promiscuous, and anybody who came into the house, he wanted them. He ended up jumping ship and Casa Amor and getting Jess. Mimi came back to the house, and it was so devastating because Ayo made it known to Mimi that yes, they weren't closed off, but his eyes were literally only for her. And in a blink of an eye, he just jumped to Jess. You can even see that he low-key regretted his decision, because throughout the season, he was low-key trying to jump back on Mimi's shift. The public was so mad and angry for Mimi that the producers ended up bringing in a bombshell for Mimi, but by then Mimi did not want to leave Ayo alone. She liked him so much, and Mimi ended up winning the show for other reasons, which we're going to talk about later on. But you could just see throughout the season of Ayo wanted Mimi, and the only reason why Ayo stopped speaking to Mimi is because the bombshell that they brought in for Mimi ended up confronting Ayo and telling him, hey, I don't like how you're still speaking to this girl after you decided not to choose her. I am in a couple with this girl now. Can you please back off? And that is the only reason why Ayo decided to leave Mimi alone. Stop having conversations with her, because Josh was not happy with them having conversations with each other. It just goes to show that a lot of the black men on the show, they don't make it no easier for the black women on the show. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to a black woman on a dating show and a black man on a dating show, it's like night and day. Everyone wants a piece of a black man, whether she's Latina, whether she's white, whether she's black, whether she's of Asian, whatever she is. Anybody wants a piece of a black man, but that is not the same for a black woman. This is the reason why a lot of black women that come on to the show like Love Island protect their peace. They decide to give us nothing. If you guys watch my Love Island takes and reviews, I was so irritated at Olandria because I know for a given fact that Olandria has personality. I know for a given fact that Olandria has personality. I could smell it from when she first walked in the room. And I wanted her to give me that raw and uncut Olandria. And I kept saying that throughout the season. Olandria is very aware that she's on TV. And when you are too aware that you're on TV, you don't get reality for real. You get somebody that is performing or whatnot. And I know some people got mad at me because I kept saying that I wanted Olandria to show her real personality. And people were saying that they wanted me, the reason why I was saying that was because I wanted Olandria to be combative or to argue or to yell and stuff like that. Because whenever I would say that I want Olandria to show her real personality, I will always refer to someone like Huda or Ace or Amaya. And if you guys look into Huda, Ace, and Amaya, they at times were combative. They at times did stand up for themselves. But that's not even what I was talking about. Because if you guys listen to those videos where I said I want Olandria to show her real personality, after I said that, I literally talked about how she acted with her mother. That's literally all I wanted. How she was like, yeah, girl, you see, that is it. I did not like Amaya from her going off on Ace. I didn't grow to like Amaya from her going off on Shelly. What made me fall in love with Amaya was all those little talks that she would have with herself in the room. She'll be singing and stuff like that. She'll be running around the villa like a Tomb Raider. That's what made me fall in love with Amaya, because Amaya showed her real authentic personality. That is what I wanted from Olandria. But people like Olandria and Shelly, they have this preconceived notion that when they show their real personality, it gets really hyper focused and it gets drawn out of proportion. I understand why they decided to give us nothing this season. I understand why they decided not to show their personality. I understand why they decided to act boring throughout the whole season and act like they didn't have a personality or a mind of their own, and everybody was in cahoots with one another. One girl said one thing in the group, they all agreed. They let Sierra be the spokesperson. If you guys look at the dynamics of the season, Sierra was the spokesperson out of all three of them. When it came to who was getting sent home, Sierra was saying, yeah, Huda needs to step up because I'm not gonna have it anymore. Sierra was the spokesperson of the group. I do feel like Shelly was the leader of the group, but I definitely feel like Sierra was the spokesperson, and they allowed Sierra to be the spokesperson. Not because they needed her to be, but because Sierra was not a black woman. She wasn't a black dark-skinned woman, and Sierra was not going to get held to a higher standard than they would have been held to a higher standard had they did what they did. Let's be real. Had Sierra not got called out for those racial slurs, we would have not disliked Sierra as much as we did. But you guys already know, if you were watching my reviews, you guys know Sierra always put a bad taste in my mouth from the beginning. But people did not like Sierra, but when those racial slurs came about, people were so happy to try to hurry up and get her out so they could pair Nick and Olandria together. A lot of the times throughout the season, you guys will hear me say, I want their real personality, I want their raw and uncut personality. In all honesty, I am not surprised that they decided to give us nothing, and I don't blame them. And I know some people are about to be like, oh, well, you did this, and you know, throughout the season you didn't agree with them. Yes, I did not agree with Shelly and Olandria throughout the season, but I also didn't agree with Huda throughout the season as well. There were some times I didn't agree with Amaya throughout the season as well. I stated those things. It's a difference between not agreeing with something that somebody does and actually being very hyper focused on what they did. And I said it when I talked about Shelly deciding that she wasn't going to talk to Huda. I said that if Shelly does not want to speak to Huda, she does not have to speak to Huda. I said, but in the same token, if she told Huda, I am going to speak to you after this challenge, you know, don't talk to me right now, then she should have spoke to Huda. Because going around talking to everybody but the person that you're mad at, when you promise that same person that you're going to speak to them later on, it's not a good look. So many people were angry at me for saying that, but it's honestly not a good look, because like I said, I am a dark-skinned woman myself. I know how these things are perceived and I know how these things are portrayed. Now it looks like Shelly is the angry black woman that is male-centered, because she's not mad at Ace at all for what he did. She is so mad at Huda that she decides that she's not going to speak to Huda. She's going to talk to the whole entire house about it. Because a lot of people are very hyper focused on pinpointing black women as messy and loud and aggressive. And then when she went off on Taylor at that state, when Taylor was at the podium, and it got to the point where Taylor had to say he picked Clark and everything, and Clark was there laughing and stuff like that. A lot of the times throughout this season, I saw a lot of people getting mad at me for having these takes. The reason as to why we are here is the reason as to why I was having these sudden takes. Because just as much as people dislike Huda, a lot of people dislike Olandria and Shelly's behavior this season as well. And like I said, it's certain things that black women cannot do. And honestly speaking, I usually don't agree with certain things, and I don't agree with double standards, but I wholeheartedly agree with, not that I agree, I wholeheartedly see why a lot of black people did not care about what Olandria and Shelly were doing this season. I wholeheartedly see why. I don't agree with it, but I wholeheartedly see why. Let me tell y'all why. One of the reasons why I see and I understand why black women were like, I don't care what they did, this and that, have y'all seen how Huda's acting, is because black women are tired of being perceived in such a negative manner, while their other counterparts get to do the same exact things and sometimes get a slap on the wrist, or sometimes get, you know, not that much pushback, or even if they do get a lot of pushback, because I do believe that Huda got a lot of pushback, but I feel like her fans started, like, you know, basically balancing out that pushback with the people who hated her. And, you know, whenever there is an evil villain of the season, and I would say Huda was the evil villain of the season, whenever there is a evil villain of the season that is not a black woman, she ends up becoming so popular and loved by a lot of people and stuff like that. You guys look at season 6 of Love Island, Leah was supposed to be the evil villain of the season, and so many people ended up loving Leah. Leah ended up having the most following out of all the girls when she went home. And Serena, you know what I mean? So I see why a lot of people were like, are we not taking accountability? I see why a lot of people were like, they wrong, but we don't give a damn. Because a lot of black women in particular are tired of being perceived on these dating shows in a certain manner. And then when they look at their other counterparts of different races that are doing the same things or probably doing something worse, the pushback is not that much, or like I said before, even if the pushback is a lot, their fan base is so high that it drowns out all the negative noise. The thing that has started a lot lately now is that a lot of these men that go after these black women on these dating shows are now starting to see that a lot of the times these black women end up becoming the token black woman at the end. They end up winning the show, they end up becoming the audience favorite, and a lot of the times it's sympathy. I know a lot of people might not think that Amaya is black, which she's Afro-Latina, she has black in her. A lot of people were upset at the fact that Amaya won, and a lot of people were saying that Amaya got a sympathy vote and that is the reason why she won. But let's be real, y'all, a lot of the times when you guys see a black woman make it to the finals of Love Island, whether it's from the UK or the USA side, or they win the actual show, it definitely stems from sympathy from the audience because of the way they were treated throughout the whole entire season. i.e., if you date back to this last season before this season of UK with the whole Mimi and Ayo situation, after Mimi got dumped by Ayo and the bombshell Josh came in for Mimi, he still wanted Ayo. It was clear as day. Mimi was finding little tactics to hide and go around the house and try to talk to Ayo because Josh was not happy with Mimi and Ayo talk, and Mimi used the White Islanders who she thought she was cool with, to try to get Ayo to come and speak to her. Ayo declined because Ayo was not messing with it because of the fact that Josh confronted him and told him, hey, like, stop speaking to my girl. Like, you decided to dump her, leave her alone. Let her be. Let her talk to me now. And the White Islander that Mimi thought she was friends with ends up telling everybody in the house Mimi was hiding to try to go talk to Ayo, and Josh did not know this at all. And Josh was such a man in that moment because he did not take that moment to stumble on top of Mimi when everybody was trying to talk anyhow about how Mimi was being desperate, how Mimi did not like Josh for real. Josh took that moment to protect Mimi, to go off on the guys who brought the rumor up during the challenge. And
how do you feel like you could tell me that when I asked? If I said it's a private conversation, I'll be going, what's the private conversation? I'm saying though, listen, you've got to understand that if I came to you and I'm saying stuff to you about Jessie, I'm pretty sure you would feel this.
Then you've seen throughout the whole entire season, the microaggressions were loud. Where other Islanders like Joey and Sean that made it their life mission to bully Mimi throughout the whole season.
When I say secret, you say mission. Secret! Well, I think I was that.
Whenever they were having challenges, they always brought up how Mimi snuck to go try to talk to Ayo. They made fun of the fact that Mimi was still in love with Ayo and he did not want Josh.
Mission failed.
Was it a fail? We had the chat on the bed.
Yeah. No, but I mean my mission failed.
Your mission failed. Yeah, that's correct. Maybe.
I honestly feel like it was microaggressions because they began to see that the audience actually liked Mimi. Because I think a lot of them did not think Mimi was a threat. When Ayo decided to dump Mimi and go for the other girl Jess, I think a lot of them thought she would go home. When the producers hurried up and sent in a bombshell for her, liked her and was only for her, I think that's when the other islanders started peeping, okay, no, this girl has to be a fan favorite. The audience has to be feeling this girl for the producers to still have her in this house after this big move that Ayo just made. And I think it started to anger them. So then they tried to portray to us that Mimi should not get the money because she is still in love with this guy who dumped her, and she is not in love with the guy that the producers sent in for her to win the show. And it started off small and it got big, and the microaggressions were really real. And Mimi never gave us no energy for real. Mimi never clapped back at them. Mimi never confronted them. And then she got labeled as boring. When black women don't do what public perceives them to do, the situation, they become boring all of a sudden. They have no personality. They need to go home. They're not good for TV and stuff like that. When in actuality, this black woman is trying to protect her energy because she knows that if she gives in to the stereotypes of how they perceive black women, that when she gets home, it's going to be a whole different ball game and people are going to hate her. And it's crazy because people still hated Mimi. People still felt like Mimi was boring. And Josh ends up winning the money, and literally, like, I think like a couple of weeks later they end up breaking up, and everybody was like, we knew Mimi did not like Josh, we knew he liked Ayo, and all. Like, it's just too much. You guys see Janae's journey on Love Island USA season 6. It did not start off with a good journey. I paired up with Koi. Koi is a very handsome black man, but Koi is the type of black man that is used to always being picked. Now, what I have noticed from the UK season of Love Island and the USA season of Love Island, that the UK season, they are hell-bent on not putting a lot of black women on the show. When they do put black women on the show, they make sure to put their counterparts that do not find black women desirable, so the black women can get used until they get split from the show. Now, if you look at the dynamics of USA season, they do put black women on the show, beautiful black women, but what they do is they give them horrible edits and they put them with guys who are not emotionally intelligent and give them bad love edit until they get kicked off the show. Have Janae. Janae comes on the show, and Koi is very handsome, but Koi is very emotionally unintelligent and he's very nonchalant. He thinks he's the prize. You can tell that Koi is used to always being around women who want him. You can tell that Koi is used to being around women who throws themselves on him. And he portrays that with Janae. But Koi is mistaken because Koi doesn't understand that Love Island, you can be here one day, gone tomorrow. And just like what I said, Koi was here one day and he was gone tomorrow because Janae ended up picking Connor because Koi was refusing to give her anything. He refused to give Janae any type of personality, and she ended up having to go with Connor. Connor comes and Connor lays it on her thick. Connor makes it seem like he likes her. Connor makes it seem like he's like she's his type. Then we have the Leah and the Rob situation. You guys remember how that played out when Rob ended up dumping Leah and everything like that. Leah is single in the house. Now all of a sudden Connor decides that he does not like Janae and that he wants to explore connections with Leah. All of a sudden Janae asks Connor, you know, what's going on with this whole situation. Mind you, I felt like Janae was being a good sport with the situation. To me, I would have been irritated because it would have looked like to me that you just used me until somebody else was free, until somebody else came into the house. Janae was still being a good sport, allowing him to explore one of her good friends in the villa at the time and still be able to talk to her. Connor was mad at the fact that Janae was questioning him about anything in regards to him and Leah. Connor became very disrespectful. Connor started showing a lot of microaggressions, and Connor started being very angry and mean to Janae. Fully, the bombshells, Kenny came into the house, and Kenny and Janae ended up pairing up together, and Connor gets sent home because Leah didn't want his ass. So then Casa Amor happens. All the boys in Casa Amor want Janae. Like, they were writing letters to Janae. Janae was the cat. She's so beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous girl. She decided to remain faithful and stick with Kenny. Kenny comes back from Casa Amor with another girl, and Janae threatens to go home because she feels like she's been betrayed. Kenny then decides that he is going to cry and throw a big tantrum, to the point where Leah and Serena end up having to comfort him and hug him and stuff like that. He decides that he is going to dump the girl that he came back from Casa Amor with and go with Janae. Looking back at everything that we know now, I feel like that shit scared Kenny because Kenny seen that he was going to get a horrible edit. He did not want to risk his chance of losing that 100K in the end, or B, come home and get a whole bunch of backlash because he's seen how epic and how bad he looked when it was all said and done. So they get home and they end up dating. Recently, last week, Janae comes on the internet and she ends up putting this post. I'm going to leave it somewhere here. And Kenny comes and he puts his response to the post. So we both get to see that they are both broken up. They are no longer together. And you also get to see that Kenny's post looked very AI modified, chat GPT modified. And then we get to see how Janae ends up writing and adding Kenny and basically tells him to keep quiet, that he does not get to act like he's the victim of this situation. So now everybody is wondering what happened. Did he cheat? Did he hit her? What did he do? Like, what's going on? People start having speculations. People start pulling up old clips of when Kenny looked like he was uninterested in Janae. Then Janae's friend basically came out, made a post like this, insinuated that Janae went through Kenny's phone, and Kenny basically said that he does not like black women, that the only reason why he's still around her is so he can get money from the new show that they are showing called Beyond the Villa, and that he thought he was going to make more money from this, and he's finding out that he is not making as much money as he was. He cannot wait to film the show so he can go back to effing hella bitches, in his words. And everybody is shocked. I'm even shocked, y'all. They had me fooled, because I honestly thought that Kenny liked her. It's a whole uproar on socials, and everybody is now starting to pick apart different scenes when Kenny was acting like he wasn't interested in Janae, or different scenes when Kenny was acting weird. I.e., in the new show Beyond the Villa, the producers want the couples to stay in the house together just for the duration of the filming, and Kenny refuses to want to stay with Janae. Mind you, these are a long distance couple. It's not like they stay with each other off rip and Kenny wants a little break for the filming. These people do not stay together, and Kenny refused to stay with Janae just for the filming process of the show. He says that he does not want to stay with Janae. He requests to see if he could stay a couple of houses down from Janae. Number two, there was a point in time where they were in the kitchen talking about Connor, and Kenny says that he is going to say hi to Connor. And I was looking at Kenny like, why are you trying to say hi to Connor? Because first of all, you and Connor didn't really stay in the house together. It's not like you and Connor were in the house the whole season. No, like Kenny, when you came in, Connor was kind of like on his way out. You don't know Connor like that. You don't have to speak to Connor at all. I just don't understand why you would feel the need to want to speak to Connor. And he was like downplaying Janae's, he was basically downplaying Janae's viewpoints on Connor and why she did not want her spouse, her partner, to speak to a guy who showed microaggressions to her and humiliated her on the show. He downplayed her feelings and made it seem like she was doing a lot. He was saying things like, oh, what do you want me to do? Ignore him? You want me to walk right past him? Duh, you don't know Connor. You were not in the villa with Connor. You don't need to say hi to Connor. You get what I mean? Just for Connor to unfollow your dumb ass after this whole shit hit the fan. Because a lot of people were mad at Coy for saying that this situation with Kenny and Janae seemed very fake. A lot of people got on Coy and was not happy with him. I was not even happy with him either, because I personally felt like, Coy, be quiet. If you couldn't be the man to step up to the plate and be the man for Janae, then you should not have no opinion. Because had you done what you were supposed to do, Janae would have stuck out with Coy and she would have rolled off to the sunset with Coy. But Coy wanted to act nonchalant. He wanted to act like he was the catch, so he had to get his ass off the show. So I do understand why a lot of people were mad at Coy for speaking, but let's keep it a buck. Coy ended up being right when it was all said and done. And so when we really get into these topics and we really get into these introspective of things, we begin to realize that a lot of these Islander guys are beginning to understand that the audience take very well to the black woman, whether it's through sympathy from the way she's treated throughout her season, or whether through the fact that she's just that girl. And they come to the show and they come in with an expectation to cling on to the black girl and ride her coattails to the very end, to the point of winning the actual show. And it's very disheartening to see. If you guys look at season 10 of Love Island UK, look at Whitney and Lochan. Recently, Whitney and Lochan have broken up, and Whitney and Lochan were very silent about it in the beginning. Then Whitney started saying things and putting little things here and there, insinuating that Lochan was racist. And of course, because people do not like Whitney from her season with Ella, and also controversy that she got into from another TV show, people automatically said that Whitney was being bitter. She's a bitter, angry black woman, and that they automatically believe Lochan. I did not believe Lochan. When Whitney said that Lochan had some type of racial slurs towards her and said things towards her, I believe Whitney 100% because I'm sorry, you guys are not going to pay me to not believe the black woman over this guy that is not black and has been accused of saying racial slurs. You guys are, y'all are not about to make me side with the guy who's not even black. Like, y'all not about to make me side with a man, period, let alone somebody that's not even black that is being accused of making racial slurs. Whitney's sister came out and basically said that Lochan called Whitney's skin dirty. I made a video, I'm gonna put it here.
About a year into my relationship with Whit, we were on a walk close to my flat. She got her nails done and she, you know, annoyingly put her nails in my face and was like, oh, my hands are so clean. My hands are so clean, yours aren't. And I was like, no, they're not. And, you know, I was kind of just annoyed her hands were in my face, but it was a very off-the-cuff remark. I just said, no, they're not. And, you know, she looked at me in shock and was like, you're calling me dirty. And, you know, I was taken back by that. I was, you know, I felt insulted that, you know, my girlfriend who I loved, who knows me, who knows that I would never insinuate something like that, is, you know, calling me a racist and saying, you know, you're calling my skin dirty.
Put a video up basically insinuating that Lochan's family have made fun of Whitney's skin tone on several occasions. There have been times where they have turned off the lights and Whitney's mom have said, Whit smile, where's Whitney? Whitney's gone and stuff like that.
Joke, it was a joke. And he was crying. He called all my family members saying it was a joke. And because Lochan gives off this golden retriever energy, like no one would ever believe that he would ever say it maliciously. But you guys know I have dark humor. So I know when something's a joke and when something's being said seriously and then span into, oh, it's a joke. We're really going to dive into it. When I used to come to your house, what did your mom used to say to me? The lights would go off and she would say, oh, where's Whit gone? Whit smile. And that was an on-running joke in that household, like, Whit smile. So I just hate the fact that he's coming on the internet acting so, like, innocent.
And that Lochan does nothing about it. And that Lochan has called Whitney's skin dirty on a different occasion than the occasion that Lochan was talking about. And now all of a sudden we have people trying to still decipher whether Whitney is telling the truth. I'm so sorry about it. That story is way too diabolical to lie about, because they have already labeled Whitney as the angry black bitter woman. Literally, they were in Lochan's comments calling her bitter, calling her angry, calling her aggressive, telling Lochan, we believe you, we stand with you. And my question came into play, like, why do y'all believe Lochan? Do y'all know him? And it's crazy because it just goes to show, like, you guys had so much grace for Janae but not enough grace for Whitney. And why was that? Even though Janae got played throughout her season, even though microaggressions came her way throughout her season, even though there were times where Leah was being rude to her, even though there were times where Serena was being rude to her throughout her season, Janae's a golden retriever. Janae's one of those people that don't like confrontation. She's one of those people that will not say shady things if she has to. She's very, like, poised within herself. And that one little time that Janae came to the reunion with those receipts and she was going off on Coy, people started getting on her saying she's getting beside herself. She's feeling herself too much. But they allow Leah to call men all type of bitches throughout the season. And that is the reason why I said that even though Huda have no reason calling Jeremiah a bitch, I am not about to crucify Huda, because I've seen these other seasons and these other people did not get crucified for it. That is the reason why I said that to begin with. You got to see Leah run through the villa, call people bitches, call people out their names and stuff like that, and she got such a good Islander card. People loved them some Leah. Janae came to the reunion with receipts and was a little bit more feistier than her usual self, and all of a sudden she was getting beside herself and she needed to humble herself. The world is so hell-bent on humbling the black woman. That is the reason why Whitney gets the type of backlash she gets for this whole breakup with Lochan. All of a sudden she becomes the insecure, bitter woman. We can all see it's as clear as day. Anybody with normal two eyes could see that Lochan was definitely trying to change and turn Whitney into something that she wasn't. Whitney is a baddie. Whitney is a Nigerian babe. Guys, look at Whitney when she came in the show. The hair was always done. The outfits were always put together. She dresses like a typical Nigerian UK baddie. If you guys look into the relationship of her and Lochan, she stopped wearing hair as much, her wigs as much. She stopped wearing her makeup as much, and she started dressing very different. Those are signs of somebody who is controlling in a relationship and trying to change you and turn you into something that you're not. And those are also signs of a woman that is very delusional because she's been with a man for a set amount of time. He has diluted her brain to believe that she has to change to appease him. And then after he got done changing her, he decides that he does not want to be with her no more, and he ends up breaking up with her. Whitney comes to the internet and talks about the little things here and there about how Lochan made her change this and made her change that just for him to leave her, and she gets labeled as the bitter, angry black woman.
You don't believe Whitney because you don't like her. You lot are slow. When are you just going to finally admit that you don't believe her because you do not like her? You have a preconceived idea of Whitney from her being on TV, which I completely understand, and then her being on social media dealing with the breakup. It was a bit cringe, whatever, and you just don't like her. I saw someone comment on her post, it's actually infuriating me, saying, I could tell that you're lying from the tone of your video versus his. And I just thought, you are feeding into the stereotype because her response video is defensive, because she's passionate, because she was literally victimized by this bloke. You're feeding into the stereotype that she's this angry black woman. That makes you racist too. Do you know how isolating and horrible it is being a black woman in a relationship with a man who's chosen you? So you know he's not racist to you because he's chosen to be with you in a loving relationship, but all his friends are openly using the N-word. No, you don't. So how can you comment on that situation? She's telling you her truth and you are not believing her because you just don't like her. Like, her story adds up. Her literal story adds up. When they broke up, she took on the sad victim, woe betide me, I've been dumped, rah, 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 to save both of their images because he had a career to continue and so did she. They calculated that storyline together to save face for both of them. What are you not understanding? And now she's got so sick of his lies and him as a person because she's had time to separate from the situation and think, do you know what? What I endured was absolute shit and I need to now tell my truth. So she's come online, she's been brave to say, this bloke called my skin dirty. Why would she lie about that? Like, I don't understand. You keep calling her bitter, but how do you know she's not moved on? Just because she's not parading a man around on her social media. And also, he hasn't even come out with a new girlfriend. He did an episode of a cooking episode with this woman, okay? It's not like he's gone on the internet and been like, I'm with someone new and she's so much better than my ex. Like, why would she need to be bitter about him being with, working relationship with another woman? All Whitney's saying is her truth and you're not listening to her. And I believe her. I believe her.
Another person who we can really talk about who played a black woman to win is this Love Island season with Justine and Caleb. Oh, Caleb had me fooled. Like, all jokes aside, Caleb had me fooled. I really thought he liked him some Justine. I had no idea. So Caleb and Justine end up winning. And y'all, I was happy because if you guys don't know Justine, she's Kenyan. So I was like, yes, my Kenyan girl, like my Kenyan sister, yes. She ends up winning season 2. They end up winning together. I'm gonna find out later. We found out that Caleb had a girlfriend all along and that he literally was only going to the show to win the show. And it's very ironic that Caleb ended up pairing up with the black girl that nobody wanted in the beginning. He ended up pairing up with her, making it look like he liked her. The whole time he had a girlfriend back at home and basically told the girlfriend that he is just going to the show to win. And it was one of the biggest scams in Love Island USA history at the time. Everybody was trying to figure out how they got played by Caleb. I was trying to figure it out too, y'all. I thought that he really wholeheartedly liked her. And it just goes to show, when you look at the history and you look at the years of men either A, using the black woman to get to the next stopping point, or actually using the black woman to make it to the end and win the show, it gets to the point where I understand why a lot of black women come to the show and give us nothing. Same thing with Serena and Cordell. You look at the aspect of the way the guys were talking about Serena when she went off on Cordell, talking about, would you want your wife to act like this, after the boys knew that Cordell was wrong. It even plays a part into the actual islanders of the show and how they perceive black women. Because if you guys look on the opposite end, Kayla was crying and throwing up and doing all this extra stuff, and nobody ever asked Aaron, would you want your wife to be this sensitive? Would you want your wife to be crying all the time like this? Would you want your wife to be this emotional? Nobody was asking Aaron those type of things. When Leah was acting a fool and getting mad at Rob because of his actions, nobody was asking Rob, would you want Leah to act like this? Would you want to date someone like Leah? Nobody was giving him these type of pep talks. But when Serena was going off on Cordell, the Islanders like Kendall were asking, would you want your wife to act and portray in this manner, trying to make it look like and over exaggerate Serena's feelings, when in actuality, even though, like I said in my reviews, that I did not like the way Serena was playing with Cordell, Serena's feelings were validated. Then we look at the producers who decided not to show how Serena and Cordell ended up becoming very close before Casa Amor, then trying to portray the image that they were not close like that, and that Serena was just crashing out just to crash out. But we saw through it. And if you guys look at that season, they wanted Kayla and Aaron to win. In all honesty, had Aaron not went to that damn Casa Amor and acted a fool, Kayla and Aaron probably would have won. I'm gonna be honest with you. Even if they didn't win, they would have definitely been the runner-ups or something. The producers were hell-bent on making sure that Kayla and Aaron won. They got so much screen time to the point where we had no idea that Serena was doing Cordell's hair for him and everything like that. It was just so much that we did not know about them until after the show, when they went on interviews and disclosed how close they were. All in all, I'll say this, as a black woman, I would stop going to the Love Island show. I wouldn't go to Love Island show. And I know somebody commented on one of my Love Island takes and said that I should go to the show. And I commented back saying, girl, I cannot go on that show. I am big. Like, it's a certain size requirement. But outside of me being big, me as a black woman will not attend a show like Love Island. I don't have time to be competing for nobody's love. A lot of these men are not the prize on these shows. It's actually funny to watch these women be so desperate for this. A lot of these men are not the prize. A lot of these women are more so the prize on this show than the men are. You know, trying to fight to stay in the house, or if I do get picked, have to worry about does my man really like me? You know what I mean? A lot of these black women that do these interracial dating on these love shows, 9 times out of 10, that's their first time doing it. It's not like they, you know, have dated what you would call it, these guys that they date now. A lot of them, when you look at their interviews when they come home, they say, I've never dated a white man, or I've never dated an Indian man, I've never dated this man, I've never dated a Dominican man, but you know, I'm open to it. Like, it's like they're open, like they're open to, you know, dating outside of their race. But when you guys look at the dynamics of the Hispanic man or the dynamics of the white man, it looks like they're just in that situation to see what they can get out of it. And it's actually funny because when you look at Kenny throughout the season, I definitely do think that Kenny became jealous of Janae, because I think that Kenny began to see that Kenny is only Kenny because of Janae and because of PPG. And I think that resentment was able to build up, coupled up with the fact that I'm pretty sure his friends were talking shit about Janae, talking about like, you don't even date black girls, like what are you doing? That stuff got to him and he began to actually hate her. And I do think that Kenny decided to try to stay with her in the beginning, thinking that he would get more brand deals. But I think that Kenny overestimated how popular he was, because Kenny was nothing without Janae. I remember when Kenny first came in the villa, everybody found him unattractive. He came in the villa with Nigel. We don't even talk about Nigel. Had Kenny never paired up with Janae, we would not know who Kenny was today. Let's keep it above. Kenny began to peep that, and I think his resentment for Janae began to rise because of the fact that he does not like black women and he does not see black women as desirable. Do I think that Kenny is attracted to Janae? Yes, Janae's beautiful, but he is not attracted to black women in general. So it's very hard for his brain to process with the fact that he's with a black woman when his whole life he's been taught that black women are undesirable and not his type. All in all, if you were a black woman trying to go on Love Island, good luck. Good luck, because the stereotypes, the way they perceive black women on the show, the way the other men use black women to get to the next level, the competing, say too much so the public doesn't get too mad at you, you don't say enough, the public thinks you're boring. They treat black women like toys on these shows. They really do. and we've seen it time and time again. That's the ending of this video. I know my takes are usually not this long, y'all, but I had a lot to say. Guys, y'all let me know how y'all feel about this situation. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about all these situations that I just stated, from Whitney to Lochan to Alandria and Shelly to you guys. Y'all let me know how y'all feel. Comment down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.